The dropship shuddered through the atmosphere of Aerolith Prime like a meteor determined to ruin someone's day. Lieutenant Daniel Ward tightened his harness and reminded himself, again, that volunteering for a joint operation with the Aerolith Dominion had been one of the less intelligent moments of his career. A voice from the cockpit drifted back, melodic, layered, unmistakably Aerolith. Impact in 20 seconds. Try not to die, human. It reflects poorly on visiting officers. Comforting, Daniel muttered. Truly comforting. The dropship hit the landing pad with a jolt that rattled every vertebra he owned. He exhaled, grabbed his pack, and stepped onto the platform of Citadel Varion, the Dominion's most fortified military bastion. Every structure shimmered with bioluminescent lines, pale blue veins pulsing through living metal. The air hummed with energy. Every Aerolith soldier he saw moved with the calm precision of a predator that had already calculated the next 50 steps. And then he saw her, Commander Lysara Vaith, tall, luminous, impossibly composed. Her silver-white hair was braided in the pattern of high command, her armor shifting with faint waves of cerulean light. Long, elegant ears angled toward him with subtle interest, and her eyes, deep violet, ringed with starlight, locked onto his. Daniel swallowed, hard. He had been warned that Aerolith commanders were intense, but nothing prepared him for that gaze. A gaze that wasn't just assessing him. It was measuring, weighing, as if she were calculating the exact gravitational force he exerted on her world. "Lieutenant Ward," she said, her voice resonating with layered harmonics that made his name sound like a vow. Approach. Daniel stepped forward. He'd faced hostile recon missions, sabotage ops, enemy artillery, but none of that compared to the pressure of standing in front of Commander Lysara. Her presence was not loud. It didn't need to be. It rolled from her like a tide, controlled, disciplined, powerful. "You assisted in preventing an insurgent breach in Sector 9, she said. "Your actions protected an Aerolith detachment from annihilation. You have earned recognition." "Glad to help," Daniel replied. "I figured preventing explosions near my head was a mutually beneficial outcome." A flicker passed over her lips, almost a smile. Almost. She extended a hand and placed a small, shimmering token in his palm. Etched silver lines glowed faintly when they touched his skin. "You are awarded this crest," Lysara said, "symbol of honor within the Dominion. You may use it for safe passage, diplomatic access." She stopped, her hand was still touching his. Her eyes shifted, softening, sharpening, changing in a way that made Daniel's pulse spike. Her fingers remained against his palm longer than protocol dictated. Much longer. A breathless stretch of silence hung between them, and then she leaned forward, just slightly. Only enough for him to hear words nobody else could. "I should have claimed you first." Daniel froze. He knew enough about Aerolith culture to know one thing: claiming was serious, irreversible. A bond deeper than marriage, closer than oath, binding lives, futures, destinies. So why would a legendary military commander say that? Before he could process, Lysara withdrew her hand, her face returning to perfect neutrality. The moment shattered as if it had never existed. "The ceremony is complete," she said. "You are dismissed." He stepped back, heart pounding hard enough to rattle the armor over his chest. Around him, Aerolith officers watched with unreadable expressions, some curious, some calculating. Daniel walked out of the pavilion with a single thought spiraling through him. What did she mean by first? First before who? As he reached the corridor to his assigned quarters, his comm unit chimed. A message flashed across the screen. "Lieutenant Ward, I require you in Strategy Hall 7 at 2100. Strategy Hall 7 was deep within the Citadel, quiet, dimly lit, and used only for highly classified briefings. Daniel arrived early, mostly because he didn't trust himself to walk in looking casual when his entire nervous system had been reprogrammed by a single alien sentence. "I should have claimed you first." He replayed it 50 times. Every tone, every harmonic resonance in her voice, every fraction of a second her fingers lingered against his. Aerolith commanders didn't whisper. They commanded. They ordered. They issued decrees that shaped militaries and spanned star systems. Yet she had whispered to him. The door slid open behind him with a soft tone. Lysara entered, not in ceremonial armor this time. In sleek tactical attire, matte black with faint glowing seams, fitted closely enough to show the sculpted precision of Aerolith warriors. Her hair was unbound, cascading silver strands catching the bioluminescent lights like threads spun from moonlight. She looked younger this way, more dangerous, more real. "Lieutenant Ward," she said, shutting the door with a gesture. Sit. He sat, she didn't. Lysara paced once around the table, every motion controlled, balanced. The kind of grace that made Daniel aware of the fact that if she ever decided to kill him, he would experience it only in retrospect, if at all. You have caused complications, she said. What? I landed here today. And yet complications began the moment you stepped off the shuttle. Okay, now I'm listening. She faced him fully. Her eyes, deep, luminous violet, held a conflict he didn't understand. You must be aware, she began carefully, that the phrase I spoke during your recognition ceremony was not idle. He tried to keep his voice steady. About claiming me. Her jaw tightened. Good, she wasn't immune to this either. Yes. Claiming. She paused as though choosing every word with surgical precision. In Aralith culture, claiming is binding. It links political status, social standing, combat rights, and personal loyalty. It is not romantic idealism. It is law. I gathered that, Daniel said softly, but you didn't claim me. No, she said, because 3 high-ranking officers were preparing to. His pulse spiked. I'm sorry, what now? Lysara moved closer, not threateningly, but with the heavy gravity of someone who had decided something long before her body acted. Commander Thalen, Captain River, and General Valan. Daniel blinked, 3 of them, why? You saved 2 Aralith detachments this week alone. You prevented a border incursion. You possess strategic adaptability we value. Humans underestimate themselves, but we do not. She leaned one hand on the table, bringing her closer, too close, close enough that her presence pressed against him like warm starlight. You have become politically valuable, she said, dangerously so. He swallowed, and you. Why did you say what you said? Lysara's composure cracked, only slightly, but the shift was unmistakable. Because I saw them watching you, she whispered. Calculating you, preparing to claim you as a tool, a symbol, an advantage. Her voice dropped lower, and the thought of it was intolerable. Daniel's breath stopped. She continued before he could speak. I have led armies, won campaigns across 6 sectors. I do not allow myself personal decisions. Every desire I felt, every instinct, was sacrificed to duty. She looked at him as if confessing a forbidden truth. But you. Her fingers curled slightly, as if resisting the urge to reach for him. You made me want something for myself. Daniel's chest tightened painfully. And now, she said quietly, I fear I waited too long. He stood without thinking. Lysara. Her eyes widened, not in anger, but in shock that he'd spoken her given name. Only claimed partners used it, or those permitted privately, but she didn't stop him. Daniel moved closer until they were a breath apart. You should tell me the truth, he said. Not the political version, not the military one. A long silence, then. The truth, she said, voice barely audible, is that I have wanted to claim you for weeks. He exhaled sharply. But I am commander of the Citadel, she continued. And claiming a human, especially one as politically visible as you, will provoke backlash vast enough to threaten my station, my authority, and possibly my command. So you're saying, Daniel murmured, that choosing me might ruin your life? Yes, and you still want to. Her breath hitched. I have never wanted anything more. Daniel reached out slowly, giving her every chance to retreat. She didn't. His fingers touched her wrist, warm, strong, tense. Her eyes fluttered, an involuntary reaction she clearly hated revealing. Lysara, he said softly, tell me what you want, not what the Dominion wants, you. Her pulse beat under his fingertips. Finally, she whispered, I want to be the one who claims you. Silence swallowed the room, then. The door chimed, a sharp, intrusive tone that shattered the moment. Lysara stepped back instantly, mask slamming down over her face, turning her once again into the unshakable commander. Enter. The door slid open. General Valan stepped in tall, imposing. Daniel had never seen an Aralith commander lose composure. Not once. Not even under enemy fire. But right now, Lysara was close. Too close. General Valan stood between them like a blade inserted into the heart of a moment that was never meant to be interrupted. He clasped his hands behind his back, posture flawless, expression carved from polished arrogance. I have submitted my intent to claim Lieutenant Ward, Valan said. Given his demonstrated strategic aptitude and the Dominion's interest in accelerating human Aralith integration, he is an ideal candidate. Daniel tried not to choke. Integration candidate. He wasn't a political application, he was a person. Lysara stepped forward, slowly, controlled, every movement taut with suppressed violence. General, she said quietly, you will withdraw your submission. No. The single word hung in the air like a detonator. Daniel felt the shift instantly, temperature dropping, pressure rising. Lysara's aura didn't flare outward. It compressed inward, becoming sharper, denser. Aralith warriors didn't raise their voices. They sharpened them. You presume to interfere in my citadel, she said. I presume to serve the Dominion, Valan replied smoothly. Your hesitation created an opportunity. I seized it. Daniel saw it then, the way Valan's amber eyes flicked to Lysara, not with desire but with challenge. He didn't want Daniel. He wanted to win, and claiming Daniel was a weapon to aim at her. Lysara's voice was almost trembling now, not with fear, but with a rage so elegant it was terrifying. You misunderstand the situation, she said, profoundly. Valan smiled. I understand perfectly. The lieutenant is politically valuable, culturally symbolic, and emotionally. He turned fully toward Daniel. Inexplicably important to you. Daniel's heart slammed against his ribs. He had not expected Valan to say it outright. He had not expected Lysara to stop breathing when he did. Her silence was an answer. Her stillness was an admission. Her eyes, flicking to Daniel, were a confession. Valan saw all of it and smiled wider. Commander, he said softly, your attachment compromises your judgment. Claiming a human would ignite controversy across 5 sectors. You risk the stability of the Dominion. But if I claim him, Lysara cut him off. You will not. Why, Valan asked. Because you want him. Silence absolute. Daniel felt Lysara's control breaking, just a crack, enough to see the truth beneath the armor. Yes, she said, very quietly, barely a breath. Yet the word struck Valan like a blade. For a moment, even the air seemed to recoil. Then the general laughed once, low, incredulous. How unfortunate. Attachment is weakness, Commander, and weakness disqualifies you from claiming him. Daniel stepped forward without thinking. No, he said. Weakness is assuming she needs your permission. Valan's eyes snapped to him. Lysara inhaled sharply. Daniel wasn't sure if in warning or astonishment. But he was done listening to declarations about his fate. You talk about me like I'm a diplomatic artifact, Daniel continued. But here's a fact you seem to forget, claiming bonds require mutual acceptance. Valan smirked. And you would refuse me. In less time than it takes you to blink. Lysara's eyes widened a fraction. Shock, admiration, something else flickering deep inside. Valan stepped forward, towering, dangerous. You refuse me, he said softly, because she has influenced you. I refuse you, Daniel snapped, because I have eyes. A dangerous silence. Then Valan exhaled in irritation, as though a tool had failed to perform properly. This conversation is unfinished, Valan said. Claim proceedings begin tomorrow. I advise you not to make impulsive declarations you cannot enforce. He turned and left the chamber with the arrogant grace of someone who believed consequences did not apply to him. The door sealed shut, leaving Daniel alone with the most dangerous woman in the Dominion. Lysara didn't move, not for a long time. Then, very slowly, she turned toward him. Lieutenant, she said, voice unsteady in a way he had never heard. That was reckless. I know, he said. I've been doing that a lot since I met you. Her eyes closed briefly, as if steadying something inside herself. Valan is not a rival you can antagonize lightly. He provoked you, and he's trying to use me to undermine your command. Yes, she whispered, which is why I needed you to remain silent. Well, Daniel said, stepping closer, that's not how humans work. Something broke in her expression then, a crack in the armor, a flicker of raw longing and anger and fear. You should not have defended me, she said. Why not? Because I cannot protect you from the consequences. Daniel took another step. You're not supposed to protect me. We're supposed to protect each other. Her breath faltered, her pulse visibly quickened at her throat. Daniel, she whispered. It was the first time she'd said his name. He felt it like heat under his skin. She looked away for a moment, something she had never done. When Valan said I was attached, she murmured, he spoke truth I did not intend to expose. Why hide it? Because attachment makes claim impossible while maintaining command. Because emotions make me vulnerable. Because wanting you is something I have no right to feel. Daniel stepped closer, slow, deliberate. Close enough to feel the warmth radiating from her. Then tell me, he said softly. Right here, right now, if all your rank and duty vanished, what would you want? Lysara lifted her eyes. Violet light burned in them like twin stars collapsing inward. I would claim you, she whispered, without hesitation. Daniel's heart clenched. Then do it. Her breath caught. I cannot. Not while Valen positions himself. Not while my authority is under review. Not while the Dominion. Daniel placed a hand over hers. She froze completely. Lysara, he said quietly, you don't have to claim me yet. But you need to stop pretending you don't want to. Tremor, subtle but real. Her fingers curled around his, slow, uncertain, a surrender born from longing instead of weakness. I do want you, she whispered. More than I should. Daniel exhaled with relief he didn't know he'd been holding. But wanting you, she continued, means I must fight Valen, and he will not hesitate to destroy us both. Daniel leaned closer. Then let's give him a reason to be afraid. Lysara's breath shuddered. The moment stretched dangerous, electric, inevitable. And then, the Citadel alarm blared. A deep, resonant... The corridors of Citadel Varian pulsed with urgent crimson light as the alarm echoed through its halls. Aerolith officers rushed past Daniel and Lysara, their armor brightening with combat protocols. The air vibrated with energy, raw, crackling, alive. Lysara moved like a blade unsheathed, focused, silent, deadly. But Daniel saw what others couldn't, the tension in her jaw, the flicker in her eyes. She wasn't worried about the breach. She was worried about him. They reached Strategy Hall 1, where holographic projections of Sector 8 lit the chamber. A swarm of unidentified vessels pierced the border, firing on Aerolith patrol units. Their maneuvers were erratic, almost suicidal. Rikhthar raiders, Lysara muttered, predictable but inconvenient. General Valen was already there, issuing orders with cold efficiency. His golden eyes flicked immediately to Daniel. Lieutenant Ward, he said, tone smooth with condescension. This is a dangerous situation. Perhaps you should remain here out of the way. Daniel opened his mouth, but Lysara cut him off. He will be joining me on the field. Valen's brows rose. A human on an Aerolith counterstrike. Lysara stepped forward, voice sharp enough to cut steel. Daniel Ward has already saved 2 Aerolith detachments. His tactical instincts exceed those of most officers under your command. Valen's gaze darkened. This is your attachment speaking. No, Lysara said coldly. This is reality. The room fell silent. In that silence, Daniel realized something. This wasn't about war. This was the first open clash in the claiming battle, and Lysara had taken the offensive. 10 minutes later, Daniel and Lysara boarded an Aerolith interceptor, sleek, silver, shaped like a predator in mid-flight. Lysara took the pilot's seat. Bioluminescent runes flared under her touch, the ship awakening like a living creature responding to her command. Daniel strapped into the co-pilot harness. You don't have to bring me, he said quietly, her eyes flicked to him. Yes, I do. Because I'm useful. Because you matter. His pulse stumbled, and Valen will not be allowed to maneuver you out of my reach, she said simply. She didn't hide the meaning, not anymore. The ship blasted out of the hangar, streaking into the violet-lit sky. Rikhthar raiders swarmed ahead, spiked, angular ships firing erratic plasma bursts. Multiple hostiles, Daniel said, analyzing trajectories. Their pattern is chaotic, but the central ship there, that one's directing the swarm. Lysara glanced at the display, surprised. You saw that quickly. Humans cheat. We call it instinct. A brief, involuntary smile touched her lips. Then let us put yours to use. She angled the interceptor sharply, diving through enemy fire. Plasma beams streaked past, too close for comfort. Daniel braced himself. Target the central ship's dorsal array, he said. It's overloaded if we hit it. The entire swarm collapses, Lysara finished, recognizing the strategy. She fired. A brilliant lance of Aerolith energy seared through space, striking the weak point. The central raider erupted in a cascading shockwave, and instantly, the swarm faltered, ships collided, engines destabilized. Several spun out in chaotic spirals before exploding. Daniel exhaled. Told you. Lysara's voice dropped to a whisper. Your instincts are dangerous. Useful, he corrected. No, her eyes locked onto him. Dangerous to me. His breath caught at the confession hidden beneath the words. Before he could answer, the comm unit crackled. Valen. Commander Vaith, he said sharply. Your actions deviate from ordered formations. Lysara didn't look away from Daniel. My actions saved your patrol ship's general. This conversation is being logged. Log it, she said. Perhaps the Dominion will appreciate commanders who adapt rather than posture. Daniel almost laughed. Valen almost imploded. The general's voice tightened. Regardless, the lieutenant is to return to the Citadel. His presence compromises tactical integrity. Now Daniel understood. Valen didn't want him safe. He wanted him isolated. Control the human right arrow, control the claiming. But Lysara was done playing by rules that restricted her. Denied, she said. Valen's voice sharpened to a blade. You defy direct strategic order. For the first time, she said, I choose what I want. Daniel felt the words hit him like heat. Shock, fear, something dangerously close to desire, but Valen wasn't finished. Commander, he said, your attachment is endangering both of you. If you continue down this path, you will force my hand. Daniel leaned forward. What does that mean? Lysara didn't look at Valen. She looked at Daniel. Her voice was quiet. It means he will challenge the right to claim. Daniel froze. Challenge as in fight you. No, she said. Worse, he will call for a council review of my emotional stability. That's a thing. For commanders, yes. And you could lose your command. Yes, and he's doing this because of me. No, she whispered. He's doing this because of us. Daniel swallowed hard. There it was. The word neither had dared say, us. He didn't know whether to be terrified or honored. Maybe both. Before the moment could settle, a proximity alarm blared. A massive Rikhthar dreadship uncloaked ahead, outgunning anything Aralith forces had deployed. Daniel reacted instantly, pointing at the screen. The dreadship's shields cycle every 8 seconds right here. There's a vulnerability window, if we time a strike. We can cripple its core. Lysara's hands moved across the controls. He grinned. She mirrored the expression. The ship dove through a burning corridor of plasma fire, an insane maneuver by any standard. Daniel counted down. 3, 2, 1 now. Lysara fired. The dreadship's shield flickered, collapsed, then erupted in a shockwave that lit the sky like a dying star. Silence, then Lysara exhaled, slow, shaking. Daniel looked at her. That was you, she said softly. Your mind saw what ours did not. Guess I'm politically valuable for a reason. Her eyes softened, completely unguarded. You are valuable for reasons far beyond politics. He inhaled sharply. The ship drifted in quiet orbit, the battle fading behind them. Lysara turned toward him closer than before, too close. Daniel, she said, voice barely above a whisper. When Valen challenges the claim, he will ask you whom you choose. His heartbeat quickened, and what should I say? Her eyes burned with something raw and fragile all at once. That depends, she whispered. Do you want to be claimed by him? Daniel didn't hesitate. No. Then who? A long silence filled the cockpit. Daniel reached out and touched her hand. By the time Daniel and Lysara returned to Citadel Varian, the corridors felt different. Heavier, quieter, filled with a pressure that had nothing to do with the recent battle. Every Aralith officer they passed slowed to watch them. Half with curiosity, half with calculation, a few with outright hostility. Daniel had seen battlefields less tense than this hallway. The tribunal chamber loomed ahead, smooth obsidian walls etched with luminous script. A place designed for judgment, a place where one wrong word could ripple across the Dominion. Lysara paused before the entrance. You will hear accusations, she said quietly. Speculation, insults, political maneuvering. I can handle it. This is not human politics, Daniel. Valen intends to prove that my attachment to you compromises command. If he succeeds, I lose my rank and the right to claim anyone. Daniel swallowed. He hadn't realized the stakes were that devastating. And what about me? He asked. Her gaze softened, dangerous, unguarded. You lose nothing. A beat, you lose me. A quiet beat of silence wrapped around them. Daniel reached, gently touching her wrist just enough to anchor her. Lysara, I'm not letting that happen. Before she could reply, the tribunal doors opened. A chime echoed like a verdict. Inside, the chamber rose in tiers. Aralith officers, commanders, strategists, all seated in stark arcs. Valen stood at the center, posture rigid, expression carved from cold ambition. Lysara entered behind Daniel. The murmurs began instantly. He sits beside her. He should sit with the unclaimed. Her bias is obvious. This will be swift. Daniel ignored them. Lysara didn't. Her eyes narrowed, shoulders squaring, not with arrogance, but with the rigid discipline of someone prepared to stand alone against an empire. A senior adjudicator stepped forward. Commander Lysara Vaith, he announced, your authority has been questioned and an emotional conflict of interest has been filed. A challenge to your claim eligibility is now in process. Lysara bowed her head, not in submission but in acknowledgement of formality. Valen stepped forward. I submit evidence, he said, that Commander Vaith's attachment to Lieutenant Daniel Ward has already compromised her strategic decisions. Daniel clenched his fists. Attachment, evidence, compromised. Valen's voice sliced through the chamber. She defied orders to keep him in the field during active conflict. She contradicted command hierarchy. She placed the safety of one human above Aralith protocol. He paused, letting the accusation sink in. And she did so because she is emotionally compromised. Murmurs sharpened. Daniel inhaled sharply, ready to step forward, ready to defend her. But Lysara moved first. No, she said. I did so because Daniel Ward saved Aralith lives. His insight destroyed a dreadship that would have taken a dozen of our vessels with it. Her voice rose, not loud, but razor precise. And I trusted him, because he has earned that trust through action, not attachment. Valen folded his arms. Commander, you withheld information. She stiffened, the information being that you desired to claim him first. Gasp's eyes turned, bodies leaned forward. The chamber thickened with collective hunger for scandal. Daniel felt something twist in him, not shame. Fury. Lysara's voice tightened. My personal thoughts are irrelevant. Not so, Valen said. If your judgment is clouded by desire, the Dominion must intervene before your choices destabilize command structure. Daniel couldn't stay silent. He stepped forward. My choices matter, too. Lysara's eyes widened, surprise cutting through her composure. Valen's jaw tightened. You are not Aralith, Valen said. This tribunal is not yours. Daniel didn't back down. No, but the claim concerns me, and you're talking about me like a resource to be allocated. I'm not an asset, I'm a person. The room murmured again, this time with a different tone. Uncertainty, interest, Valan glared. You misunderstand our customs, human. Claiming is honor, not ownership. Then let me speak, Daniel said. If the outcome affects both our lives, then you'll hear my side. Silence, the adjudicator nodded. Permission granted. Daniel turned to Lysara, her eyes. They weren't commander eyes now. They were the eyes of someone bracing to lose something precious. He faced the tribunal. You want to know if Commander Lysara's judgment is compromised? Valan smirked. Yes, that is precisely the point. Fine, Daniel said. Then listen carefully. He took a breath. When the outpost was under attack, she didn't prioritize me. She prioritized the mission. She followed a strategy I proposed because it was effective, not because she was attached. Lysara's breath hitched just once. Daniel continued. She isn't compromised, she's cautious, controlled, disciplined, honestly. Too disciplined for her own good. A ripple went through the chamber. Valan stepped forward. Then answer plainly, Lieutenant. Did she express desire to claim you? Daniel looked him dead in the eyes. Yes. Gasped the shock. A few outright snarls of disapproval. Lysara flinched, but Daniel wasn't finished, and I wanted her to. Every sound stopped. Valan blinked. Lysara froze. Daniel pressed on, voice steady. You want to judge emotional compromise. Fine, here's the truth. I want her claim, I want her. He turned toward Lysara, and I choose her. The room exploded in whispers, outrage, disbelief. The adjudicator slammed his staff for silence. Valan's face drained of color. That is not permitted, the general hissed. The claimed party does not declare preference in challenge proceedings. Daniel smiled faintly. Guess we're breaking a lot of rules today. The adjudicator exhaled. This complicates the challenge. Daniel stepped beside Lysara, closer than protocol allowed, close enough that every officer in the chamber saw exactly what stood between them now. The adjudicator spoke slowly. General Valan, your challenge stands, but the lieutenant's declaration must be considered. Claim bonds require mutual acceptance. If he openly refuses any claimant but Commander Vaith, your petition is weakened. Valan's composure cracked, a single hairline fracture. This human has manipulated the process. Daniel held his gaze. Or maybe you underestimated how much choice I have in this. Lysara turned toward Daniel, just slightly. Not enough for the tribunal to mark it as intimacy, but enough for him to feel her breath. Daniel, she whispered, what you just did, you risked. He cut her off softly. Losing you is the bigger risk. The adjudicator raised his hand. This tribunal will recess until dawn. Further deliberation. Dawn broke over Citadel Varian in pale violet light, refracting through the crystalline spires and cascading into the tribunal hall like a silent omen. Daniel stood at the entrance, heart pounding hard enough that even the Aralith guards could probably hear it. Today decided everything. Who claimed him? Who lost command? Who lost everything? He wasn't afraid for himself. He was afraid for her. Lysara arrived moments later, wearing full ceremonial armor, silver and starlit, adorned with radiant lines that pulsed with her heartbeat. Her hair was braided in the formal pattern of command, but a single lock had escaped, falling across her cheek. When she turned to him, Daniel saw it. Fear. Real, quiet fear, not of Valan, not of the tribunal, but of losing him. "Whatever happens," she whispered, "I do not regret wanting you." Daniel swallowed. "Then let's make sure wanting isn't the end of it." She almost smiled. Almost. The tribunal doors opened. The hall felt heavier today. Dozens of Aralith officers filled the seats. High-ranking commanders, political observers, cultural adjudicators. Even the Dominion's emissary had arrived, tall, expressionless, every detail recorded in a floating crystalline archive orb. Valan stood at the center, cold, confident, calculated. Lysara stood opposite him, graceful, focused, radiant. And Daniel took his place between them, because even if the tribunal didn't recognize his right to stand there, Lysara needed him to. The adjudicator stepped forward. "General Valan, you may present your final argument." Valan bowed slightly. "Commander Lysara Vaith is unfit to claim a partner while in command. Her attachment is evident. Her defiance of orders is documented. Her judgment compromised. Her desire." He looked directly at Daniel. "Is obvious." Daniel's fists tightened. Valan continued. "As such, I renew my challenge. I seek to claim Lieutenant Ward myself. My command is stable. My judgment is unclouded. And I, unlike Commander Vaith, am capable of forming a bond that benefits the Dominion." Daniel didn't realize he'd stepped forward until Lysara's hand touched his arm to steady him. Her eyes burned, not with embarrassment, but with fury. The adjudicator turned to her. "Commander Vaith, your response." Lysara didn't bow. She didn't posture, she simply spoke. "I will not justify wanting him." The room fell silent. She continued. "But I will refute your premise, Valan. Wanting is not weakness. Wanting without clarity is weakness, and I am very clear." Her voice sharpened. "Daniel Ward is not strategic leverage. He is not a symbol. He is not a resource to claim for political gain." Then she said something no one expected. "He is someone I choose." Gasps rippled through the hall. Valan's jaw clenched. "Emotional confession does not strengthen your case." "No," Lysara said. "Truth does." She stepped forward until she was face to face with the tribunal. "My judgment is not compromised because I feel. It would be compromised if I lied about it." That hit harder than any accusation. The adjudicator turned to Daniel. "As the one being claimed, you may speak now. Do you choose to consider Valan's claim?" Daniel nodded slowly, then said, "No." Valan froze. The tribunal murmured. Lysara's breath caught. Daniel lifted his voice, steady and clear. "I refuse any claim from General Valan entirely, irrevocably." He took another step. "And I refuse any claim that is not hers." A full hush fell across the hall. Daniel took Lysara's hand, not submissively, not boldly, but honestly. "If choosing Lysara costs her command, her standing, or her reputation," he said, "then the Dominion system is the problem, not her judgment." The adjudicator looked shaken for the first time. "Human, you misunderstand the gravity." "No," Daniel cut in. "For once, I understand it better than the Dominion does. Claiming isn't supposed to be political, it's supposed to be mutual. It's supposed to mean something." He lifted Lysara's hand. "She wants me, I want her. None of you get to rewrite that." Lysara stared at him. The collision of shock, longing, fear, and gratitude visible in every fractal flicker of her eyes. Valan hissed, "This mockery of tradition." "Is tradition evolving?" Daniel said. The adjudicator raised his staff. "General Valan," he said, voice heavy, "the claimed party's refusal invalidates your petition. You cannot challenge a bond he will not accept." Valan stepped forward like a blade leaving a sheath. "You would deny me based on human sentiment." "No," the adjudicator said. "Based on Aralith law, claiming requires acceptance. He refuses you, thus your claim is void." Daniel let out a breath. Lysara's hand tightened around his once, fiercely, gratefully, disbelievingly. Valan's composure broke. "This does not grant Vaith the right to claim him." The adjudicator nodded grimly. "No, she must now declare formally." Every gaze turned to Lysara. Her chest rose and fell once, twice. Then she stepped into the center of the chamber, her voice resonant with harmonic intensity. "I will make my declaration." Daniel's heart stumbled. She turned to him fully. "Kneel," she said softly. He did, not because Aralith custom demanded it. but because the look in her eyes was the closest thing he had ever seen to reverence. She placed her hand over his heart. "Daniel Ward," she said, "I claim you by right of choice, by right of courage, by right of truth freely spoken." Her other hand rose to his cheek. "Your honor is mine, my honor is yours. Your life intertwined with mine, not by command, not by culture, not by duty, but by will." Her voice dropped to a whisper, "I choose you." Daniel felt the words like a gravitational pull inside his ribs. He lifted his hand and covered hers, "And I choose you." The adjudicator's staff struck the floor. Bond acknowledged, claim accepted. Commander Lysara Vaith and Lieutenant Daniel Ward are now formally joined under Dominion law. A wave of reactions crashed through the chamber. Supportive, hostile, shocked.